Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone, and you're watching the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. 1 hour of commercial-free podcasting starts now. Enjoy the show.
Chicken nuggets, we're live, baby.
All right. Welcome back to the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. Guys are back after another incredible week of football. For today's episode, we will be running back the format from last week. First, breaking down week 2, doing some calm or chaos, discussing some guys that struggled, then some trust or bust, focusing on some big names as well. And then moving on to our week 3 preview, breaking down our rankings, giving starts, sits of the week, and then wrapping up with our best bets for week 3. So stay tuned for that. And as always, if you have any questions throughout the episode, drop them in the chat. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can. A lot to cover early in the season. Let's get into talking some quarterbacks from this past week. Starting with Matt Stafford. 6.64 fantasy points, 19 of 27 passing, 216 yards, and 1 fumble lost. That is it. Calm or chaos on Staff?
It's big time chaos.
Big time chaos, but it is not his fault. He lost both of his top receivers, who were top 15 receivers in fantasy, for multiple weeks. Like, if a quarterback is good after that, they must be God reincarnated, because it's just unheard of.
Yeah, they also lost that entire O-line. They're running out like 4th string left tackle, like 3rd string right tackle, like
depleted.
Yeah, that whole offense is rough right now. Staff, I would say, definitely droppable in one quarterback leagues. Like, it's chaos. It's not worth holding on to. He was drafted as most likely your backup anyways, so I think he might have some hope to like come back like week 7, week 8 as like fantasy relevant, but as it currently stands, just a stash at best. At best.
I had high hopes for Stafford, but it's absolute chaos with no signs of getting any better anytime soon.
Yeah. San Fran this week is not going to be a fun matchup.
Nope.
Calm or chaos on the rookie Caleb Williams, 7.36 fantasy points. He was 23 of 37 for 174 yards, 2 picks, and he did add 44 yards on the ground on 5 carries, but that was it. Calm or chaos?
Chaos.
Dummy chaos. I'd rather start Staff, dude. Caleb is unstartable.
I'd start Taysom Hill at quarterback over Caleb Williams. Like, he hasn't surpassed 10 fantasy points in 2 weeks. And it's not like for a lack of his attempts. He has 29 and 37 attempts through the first 2 weeks. He just can't complete a pass, and that O-line is absolute dog order. And he has like 1.2 seconds to get the ball out of his hands every snap.
Yeah. 7 sacks last week was brutal. It's definitely chaos. It's definitely not startable. Maybe hold. Maybe he figures it out halfway through the season. But again, I think in one quarterback leagues, he's definitely droppable if you have to, if you're looking for a replacement or something on waivers. I don't think you need to hold Caleb Williams. I think he's further away from being fantasy relevant than most quarterbacks.
Yep.
Chaos there. All right, moving on to some more positive performances. Derek Carr, 25.82 points. He is quarterback 2 through the first 2 weeks. He was only 11 of 16 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and he had 1 carry for 1 yard, and of course, the touchdown there on the QB sneak. Trust or bust for Derek Carr?
He's better than Kirk again.
I'm trusting Derek Carr.
Me
He
too.
is, once again, better than Kirk. And he's doing this, like, obviously, last game they blew out the Cowboys, so he didn't have to throw a ton in the second half. But it seems like that Saints offense is just steamrolling everybody. They have, I think, 91 points through the first 2 weeks.
Gross.
And this is without really, like, Chris Olave being super involved. So once he gets it going, I just don't see Derek Carr slowing down any bit. And that offense is just like a big play waiting to happen.
We are getting absolutely waxed this week, dude.
Yeah,
I'll get more into that later.
But yeah, I think you have to trust Derek Carr for now, at least in terms of like making sure he's not on waivers in your league. Like, quarterback 2 should never be on waivers, no matter what the circumstances are there. I don't love the usage. 23 passes week 1, 16 passes week 2. Like, I don't think
They're just stomping teams.
this is sustainable. Like Shaheed obviously is a beast. Like he could take anything to the house 70 yards. But like I don't know if it's sustainable. I think he's definitely a low end QB1 for now, and I think you can definitely roll him out there against the Eagles this week confidently. The Eagles secondaries looked super beatable, as we all are Eagles fans and know that. So, but outside of that, he might become a little bit more matchup dependent down the stretch. But for now, we're trusting Derek Carr. I think you have to, especially if you were starting Stafford or Caleb Williams, or some of those guys. So get Derek Carr in your lineup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last quarterback here, Sam Darnold, 23.92 points. QB 10 through 2 games. Matt, is your guy back? 17.6.
Hell no.
Yards, 2 touchdowns.
He just did
Pick.
this against the Niners. I mean, sure, it helps throwing a 97-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson, but even throughout the game in week 1, he has looked decent. So, like, kind of in like a Baker Mayfield sense, this could be a Sam Darnold just revenge tour where he goes out and he balls out all season. I'm not trusting quite yet, but if he keeps this up for like another 2-3 weeks, I think he's right in there in that QB1 conversation.
Yeah, I'm not trusting yet. I definitely want to see more from Sam Darnold. Fooled before back in 2021 with Matt.
When he was
I think
RB1, baby.
he was like QB1 through like the first 4 weeks or whatever it was, or at least top 3 at that time. Yeah, no, give me some more time on Sam Darnold before I say fully trusting here.
He's on waivers, Matt. You're not going to scoop him?
Nah, I don't need him just yet.
All
Yeah,
right. Who's
I
your
need
backup
my
right now?
4%.
I don't have a backup. I tried to get Derek Carr this week, but
You're
that fell
bugging,
through.
and Sam Darnold's just sitting there for you?
I thought about it, but then I'd have to drop one of my 3 roulette tight ends, and I don't really want to do that just yet.
All right.
You do have some roulette tight ends.
This will be my 3rd week starting a 3rd different tight end.
Well, best of luck with that.
Thank
But yeah, Sam Darnold. It's not fully trusting yet, but he's definitely worth at least a speculative ad if you're looking for in the quarterback market. All right, moving on to running back. Calm or chaos for Rachaad White. 3.3 points, 10 carries for 18 yards, 1 catch for 5 yards, and that was it in a game where they won. He now has 0 touchdowns through 2 games, and he's averaging less than 2 yards per carry. What are we doing?
Yeah.
A little
I mean,
scary.
The yards per carry is a little scary, but I'm not really worried about the touchdowns. That was never really his thing. Like, you don't really draft him for touchdowns. Well, he had 9 last year. I guess it's not too bad.
Not terrible.
But not terrible, but it's also not like
Yeah.
it's the receiving upside. That's why he drafted him. And week 1 that looked fine. Week 2 not so much. But he was hurt. I don't know when did he get hurt? End of the game?
Yeah. I think he got knocked out a little bit early, but I think he ended up still playing like 71% of snaps. I think he was just more of kind of like in there blocking in most situations because it was a tight game most of the game.
All right, so I'm not really going to count week 2 then. Week 1 looked
Yeah.
good. Week 2 is an outlier.
Yeah, I think I'm calm for now.
Yeah. I think you stay calm as well. I think you have to kind of continue to roll him out there. Obviously, he's being limited in practice this week, so monitor that there. But I think Rachaad White should be all right. I think he might just be a little bit less than what we kind of expected this season with Bucky Irving kind of eating into that workload.
Yep, and the resurgence of Chris Godwin.
Yeah, that too as well. Moving on to trust or bust for running back, J.K. Dobbins, 20.1 points, 17 carries for 131 yards, 1 touchdown, and then also 1 catch for 0 yards on only 46% of the snaps. Are we trusting J.K.?
Not trusting. I'm also not busting. Because right now he's averaging like 10 yards a carry. I know that is not going to be sustainable throughout the season. I think he only has like 2 carries inside the opponent's 30-yard line. So he's just scoring long-ass runs, which isn't going to happen every week. And Gus Edwards seems to not go away, no matter how unproductive
He's a
he is.
virus.
So there's always a chance for him to vulture if they get down towards the goal line or in the red zone. But, I mean, love to see it for JK, but I cannot be fully bought in just yet.
Yeah, and he has really no receiving upside.
Yeah.
Week 1, he had 3 catches for 4 yards. And
Yeah.
last week, he had 1 catch for 0 yards.
Yeah, I think he can get more involved in the passing game, kind of like that Eckler role for Herbert. But this offense, like the first two games, like the Raiders and the Panthers, has just been able to kind of like bulldoze through these weeks. Where I think this week against the Steelers is kind of going to be more of a true test against a really solid defense for like what this offense is going to look like, especially if they end up trailing in this game at all. Um, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as easily, and obviously Gus Edwards has struggled behind this O line. So I think Dobbins is a solid RB2 as it currently stands. Not fully like trusting just health wise, and I want to kind of just want to see it one more time before I'm all the way bought in as well. So I'm right there with you guys.
I say it again next week, even if he snaps again this week.
He beats the Steelers, man, and like obviously the Chiefs, they might be trailing, but I think he's got to be kind of locked in at that point. Steelers defense is tough, but we shall see there. Devin Singletary, 14.5 points, 16 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. Also had one catch, no yards there, and did lose one fumble, but he did have 79% of the snaps for that Giants backfield. Are we trusting Singy?
Negative Ghost Rider. I
I'm
think
not.
this is one of. Go ahead.
I'm just not writing him off. That's all I'm saying. I mean, he's a running back for like the worst team in the league. So I mean, like, how much can you really trust him? But
Right.
I mean, like 9 and 14 points it's not bad. It's not awful.
Not bad, but I think those first two games were probably their best chance to actually stay in the game and be able to run the ball. I think throughout the year, the Giants are just going to be down big, kind of abort the run. Singy has never really been much of a pass catching back, and that's just what scares me. Like last week against the Commanders, that was an easy game to stay competitive in. The Commanders' defense sucks, so I think that was a gift to Singy, but I just don't know how much he's actually going to be used throughout the year. That's what scares me.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of the team has a combined of 5 runs. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
if someone's running the ball, it's him.
It's
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like Singy's just going to eat up all the volume in this backfield. So like on volume alone, I think that makes him a solid RB3. Like definitely a great bye week fill in to have. Definitely someone good to have on your bench. I don't know if I love running him out there every week as an RB2 because there probably are stinkers on the horizon. But for what he is, I'm trusting for what he is. Like for what I'm expecting out of Devin Singletary, I think he's already like hitting those expectations. So
Well said.
yeah, that's what we got there. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. Calm or chaos on this guy, man. Christian Kirk, 0.9 points. He is wide receiver 97 through 2 games. He had one catch for -1 yard on 3 targets on 88% of the snaps this past week.
But he's got 2 catches, dude.
Yeah, he's looking like the 4th option right now, 5th option once Ingram is back, and he is best left on benches, and if he keeps this up, he will soon be on our waiver wire.
I don't get it. What happened?
I don't know. He like proved himself for a year and a half, 2 years, because everybody was clowning the Jags for giving him that contract. And he said, all right, everybody forgot about it, so I'm going to go back to being ass. I don't get it.
I don't know either.
Again, Kirk's still not throwing. I mean, not Kirk. Trevor Lawrence is still not throwing like he used to. Like I said in week 1, he only threw 21 passes. This past week, he threw 30, which last season his lowest attempts in a game was 29. He only completed 26 passes through 2 games. I think this offense has just been kind of abysmal. I think there's still better days ahead, but yeah, Christian Kirk, he's chaos right now, 100%. You can't start him. At Buffalo this week isn't going to be any easier. Their pass defense has been pretty solid as well, so I'm seeing another rough game for the Jags offensively. Their defense keeps them in these games, so they'll still be competing, but it's just not pretty for Christian Kirk right now. So 7 targets, not enough volume like we expected, like we've seen in the past where it was like 8 to 10 to 12 targets a game. It's just not getting anywhere near that volume, even with Ingram out last week. So yeah. Chaos on Kirk. Hold,
Sad one.
but
Big time.
definitely put on your bench this week if you have another option.
Yep.
DeAndre Hopkins, 1.9 points, 1 catch for 9 yards on 2 targets. Moved his snaps up from 27% to 44% in week 2 as he kind of comes back from that mild MCL sprain. Calm or chaos here for D-Hop?
Drop him.
I want to give
Drop
him
'em.
a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Not even playing 50% of the snaps the first two games, only has 3 targets on the year. Coach said his role is likely to increase in the coming weeks, and when he is fully healthy, he is going to be a crucial part of that offense. So I can understand dropping him, but if I was a DeAndre Hopkins owner, I would kind of try and hold off until like I absolutely had to drop him because I do see better days ahead.
I disagree. I don't think he's going to
Yeah.
be a crucial part of that offense. I think he's washed.
Do you think Calvin Ridley's just gonna
Yep.
eat up
I don't
every single target?
I bet you Tyler
No.
Boyd finishes over him. No Diddy.
Mm,
Yeah, I think Boyd's going to stay in the mix. I think Ridley's still going to be obviously the number one just based on like health as it currently stands. If D Hop gets back to full health, sure he's obviously going to mix back in more and probably be playing closer to like 80% of the snaps. Just this MCL sprain already scares me. 3 targets obviously on that limited work. He's still involved, but just like this team isn't good at all. I just don't know how much upside there is in this offense to hold up Ridley and D Hop and mix in a game or two for Boyd, and then have games where it's like just Pollard and them running the ball. He's definitely droppable. I think you can hold. I dropped obviously today in our league. You guys saw that. It wasn't like an easy decision, but like when you look at the end of your bench and you have DeAndre Hopkins sitting there, it's like, is he really going to be a difference maker for me down the line? I just didn't think so. So it's definitely chaos. But if you have room on your bench, I understand wanting to stash just from the history.
The name. The name. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
it is
Definitely
a
the
sexy
name.
name.
Yeah, it is. All right, last wide receiver for Common Chaos, Tank Dell, 2.3 points, 1 catch on 4 targets for -3 yards, and also added 3 carries for 16 yards on 69% of the snaps. He's wide receiver 68 through 2 games, has not surpassed 10 points, but he does have 11 targets through these first 2 games. So how are we feeling on Tank?
How they're
Super
trying
confident.
to use him is not working.
Nope. And I'm staying calm because I think this offense really hasn't gotten it going yet. Obviously missing Mixon last week. I believe he didn't play.
Got hurt
Even
like
CJ,
second quarter, I think.
yeah, even CJ Stroud hasn't looked the part that we saw last year. So I think I'm cool as a cucumber on Tank Dell. This week, mark my words, will be the week where he breaks out and everybody starts starting him.
I don't like that he has more carries than he does receptions. I don't like that
Yeah.
at all.
At least he's getting used.
Yeah. On one hand, I don't hate the fact that he's getting carries and they're just trying to get the ball in his hands because then he's like a part of their offense they want to use. Obviously, I'd like to see his snap share up closer to like 80-90%, like running more routes in general. I think he's the clear number 3 here. I think he's just going to be a little bit boomer bust this season. I think we could see the boom this week, like you said, but I don't know how consistent it's going to be as we get deeper into the season.
I don't know. He led the
staying
Texans
calm.
in targets last year, so it's like I know they got Stephon Diggs, but we were all ready to write Stephon Diggs off this
I was.
offseason. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was ready
We'll
to
see.
write Diggs. I still don't
Tell
think
me-
Diggs is going to be all that good either. I still think Nico's the number 1. I think he's going to be the consistent number 1. Through 2 weeks, it looks like Diggs is 2
only
and
2
Tank's
weeks
3.
in.
But it is only 2 weeks in. So I'm
lot
staying
of
calm for now
football.
as well. But
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an eyebrow raise for
So
sure.
you're telling me to start him this week?
I would.
I have him in one league, and I'm kind of forced to start him. So
Who would
I
you
don't really
start
have a
him
choice.
over?
Give me like 1 second. I would put in. I guess no
Is
one.
that-
I guess no one.
That one? Yeah, because Tank Dell is probably my favorite buy low target right now. I've been hitting Gators phone every day trying to work something out.
Yeah. The fact that multiple people in the league are hitting Gators phone for Tank Dell just shows that like the value I think is still there, at least in the stratosphere. Like everyone still believes from last year, and I still think he has the talent. So I think he'll be all right. I think he's just going to be a little bit more boomer bust than we kind of expected, but we'll see as we get into the next couple weeks. Stay calm, hold him, start him this week, and see how it goes.
All right,
Still a solid flex.
holding.
All right. Trust or bust at wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. He was on Calmer Chaos last week. Now he's got 29 points, 4 catches on 8 targets for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns on only 70% of the snaps. Are we fully trusting Marv?
Schultz's comment was funny. It was just nut ass picture. I don't know what that thing is.
And it looks like a fucking snakehead or a
Yeah.
dinosaur.
Marv's back.
So back.
I was very
back.
upset. Week 1, week 2,
Yeah.
very happy.
Very happy. Very nice.
Like I said, I was fully calm last week. They had to try to get him the ball, and clearly early and often they did. And as soon as there was a blowout, obviously he wasn't going to have to do much more throughout the game. I think this week it's going to be more competitive. I think it's going to be more of a maybe like 6 for 70 and a touchdown if he scores, something like that. But obviously he's got the upside to take the top off of any defense. So gotta stay trusting Marv at this point, especially for where you drafted him.
Kyler realized it was his job to get him the
It
ball.
was indeed his job.
Yeah.
What an idiot, dude.
Whatever, it worked out. So both of them fantasy goodness at this point. Moving on to Malik Neighbors, 28.7 points, caught 10 passes on 18 targets for 127 yards and a touchdown on 89% of the snaps. He now has 25 targets through 2 games. Are we fully trusting Neighbors at this point?
He might be better than Marv.
Giants are going to be down in
He might be better.
every game, and when they're throwing the ball, there is no other pass catcher they should be throwing to other than Malik Neighbors.
He's wide receiver 3.
He's going brazy.
He's going brazy.
His target share is 64%. That is disgusting.
I think it actually is sustainable on this Giants offense.
Dude, I do agree. If
Might
he's
drop
healthy,
to maybe 50-ish, but he's not going to drop any lower than 40, 45% at the least.
It's literally just him and Wan'Dale Robinson, and that is it.
Yep.
That's all it's going to be. Neighbors is going to be the clear one. They're going to have to throw a ton. There's definitely going to be ugly games. I think, obviously, 10 for 127 on 18 targets isn't going to be every week. At Cleveland this week, a little bit scarier of a matchup, but just on pure volume, you have to trust every week, no matter what.
yeah.
Target share is madness. Madness.
Volume, baby.
All right, last trust or bust for wide receiver, another young wide receiver, JSN, 23.7 points. Caught 12 of 16 targets for 117 yards on 83% of the snaps. Are we trusting Jackson?
No. Dude, week 1, he had 2 targets.
I get that. And then week 2, he had 16, and Tyler Lockett dropped from 7 to 2. I think there's a new kid on the block. He goes by JSN, and that wide receiver 2 position is going to be his for the taking. Like Sean said in the preseason awards, he was going to be, I don't know if it was the fantasy MVP or breakout, whatever it was.
Something like that. Definitely had him in there somewhere.
Last week, that just popped in my mind, and I thought Sean hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah,
I think they can go back and forth for sure.
I agree. I definitely think Lockett's going to get his. I don't think he's going to fully just get faded out of this offense or phased out. Lockett obviously is now dealing with an injury, which would obviously shoot JSN right up. But I think we'll have games closer to what Geno did this week than what he did in week 1. Week 1, they were pretty much up on the Broncos, I think, for most of that game. They also had a crazy run-heavy game with Kenneth Walker. At New England, obviously, it was more competitive. He ends up throwing the ball 44 times instead of 25 in week 1. So I think there will be more targets to go around. I think it's going to probably end up more towards the 30 to 35 passes range. Seahawks are 2-0, but I don't think they're a legit 2-0, super contender. So I think they're going to be in a lot of close games, especially as their schedule toughens up in the next few weeks with San Fran, Buffalo, Detroit, obviously in week 4 as well. So they're going to have to throw more. I think JSN is going to be a rock solid flex play throughout that period. So I'm trusting for now.
Yep.
Have to. All right, moving on to tight end. Calm or chaos on the GOATs. Starting with Travis Kelce, 1.6 points, 1 catch for 5 yards and 3 targets. He has 8 targets for 4 catches through 2 games.
Sorry, that was a typo. He has 7 targets.
7 targets, even worse.
I think we're finally seeing
It's
his
the
downfall.
downfall.
Yep.
But then again, he could come out next week, have
Yeah.
fucking 8 catches, 115 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and then we're like, oh my god, Trav's back. But
They don't have to feed him like that anymore though.
They got Rashi
But
as
I
like the
think
target monster, which I
they
think
do.
takes away from some of it. But
But I think Pacheco going down also helps him a lot
yeah,
because the backfield isn't going to be as reliable as it would be with Pacheco back there. So I think Mahomes is going to just look for the familiar faces, get them the ball, because who knows how effective that running game is going to be.
yeah. I'm staying calm on Kelsey too. I think there's a chance he lost a step, but I don't think there's a chance he's going to be fully phased out of this offense. I think
For 2 weeks, I'm not counting out Travis
Yeah.
Kelce.
he was very close to scoring as well on that one catch for 5 yards, where it was kind of that dump off play at the goal line. He scores a touchdown. It's a little bit of a different conversation.
And I think he had like a 40-yard catch called back or something for a
Yeah.
hold.
Something like that. Yeah, he's the clear number 2 in this offense. I don't think Xavier Worthy's going to become some sort of target monster. Hollywood's now not coming back. Pacheco is now injured, and they're not going to want to run the ball that much with Steele, P. Ryan, Keontae Ingram, and Kareem. This backfield's kind of a nightmare. So
Wide.
I think Rice is still going to get the majority of the target share, but I think Kelsey has better days ahead. I'm staying calm.
I'm a little nervous.
Definitely a little
This
nervous.
I'm a little
Okay.
nervous.
We're not used to seeing this from Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no. I think he's a good buy low if someone is panicking.
Kevin.
Don't think he's panicking. His price is probably still sky high. Sam Laporta, 3.3 points, 2 catches for 13 yards on 3 targets. Played 88% of the snaps, still running all of his normal routes, but only 6 catches on 8 targets through the first 2 weeks. Calm or chaos here for Laporta.
I think I'll stay calm.
Yeah, I'm staying calm. The Lions' offense looks a little different this year,
That's what dude, it looks so
obviously.
weird. Like
It
Goff
does,
hasn't gotten it
and-
going either. I don't.
and it's not working. So I think they're going to get back to the basics, what they were doing last year, kind of work in Montgomery, have Jameer in there splitting touches, get the ball to Laporta. He's fucking a monster on the field. He's like 6'3", 240. He's just going to dominate the middle of the field damn near against anybody. So I think the emergence of a healthy Jameson Williams has kind of cut into his production, but I also
Yes.
don't see Jameson Williams getting that
20
8 to-
targets in 2 games.
8 to 12 targets a game, which, I mean, he might. If he does, good for me. But I just don't see that continuing throughout the season.
Yeah. I mean, we saw a very healthy target share for Laporta that gave him such a safe floor this last year. This year, that's kind of gone away with JMO finally emerging. I think it's going to be like a 2A, 2B situation. If not, JMO takes over that number 2 role. So I think it's just like lowering expectations. I still think he's going to probably finish the season as a top 5 tight end. I think he's still going to score probably 6 to 8 touchdowns, if not pushing 10 again. So I think he's going to be fine. But I think it's kind of like temper expectations for now. But you're obviously going to keep starting Laporta. There's not going to be anything better for you out there on
No.
waivers. So
Especially for tight ends.
yeah, calm on Laporta, but definitely also a little bit saddening that it's not as dominant as we saw last year.
Yeah.
All right, trust or bust for tight end. Hunter Henry, 8 catches, 109 yards on 12 targets, 84% of the snaps. Are we trusting Big Hunt?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 12 targets is juicy in an offense with like no receivers, dude.
It is juicy, but
He might be the one.
He might be.
I don't know.
Or, like,
but then
who-
again, what happened week 1? He had 3.8 points, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 18 yards. I feel like it's going to be a roller coaster throughout the season. I mean, we've seen Hunter Henry have good weeks in
Yeah.
previous years, but he was never a consistent, like, I'm ranking him in my top 7 tight ends every week type
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, no. I'm not fully trusting Hunter Henry. I think he's I think with Brissett, I think he's going to have a safer floor. Obviously, 2 for 18 is still impossible. We saw it in week 1. It's still in play. But he's clearly the number 1 tight end on this offense. Clearly the wide receivers aren't making any sort of like consistency there in any way, shape, or form from any of them. So he's
I'd
gonna be
confidently
a safety
start him this
blanket.
week. That's
Yes.
I'd feel good starting him this week.
I'm starting him
Yeah,
tonight
yeah.
if I have him. If I'm in the situation where I need to. Like, and Brissett in the past has proven that he kind of can get the ball to the tight ends as well. So we saw him do that 2 years ago, actually, with Njoku a little bit once he was the starter there for like 8 weeks with the Browns. So yeah, safety blanket for him. I think 8 for 109 is probably not going to happen again, but I don't think there's going to be too many 2 for 18s either. I think he's probably going to land somewhere in the middle, like 4 for 45, find a touchdown here or there. He's a decent low end tight end one. Definitely should be owned.
Yep.
Last one for tight ends, Mike Gesicki, 7 catches for 91 yards on 9 targets. Only did play 47% of the snaps. So are we fully trusting Gesicki here?
Fuck no.
Yeah, no, I'm
Only a
cool on
matter
that
of
one.
time before T's back.
Yeah.
He's gonna eat up targets. Jamar is gonna obviously get his target share, but I mean, as long as T's out, he's definitely a viable streaming option. But once T is back and fully healthy and locked into this offense, he's gonna be waiver bait.
Yep, fully agree. I think he's a tight end 2, not a tight end 1. And if T's back this week, I will probably be dropping Gesicki and finding someone else because I'm not fully confident. I'm happier with him as the second option, and even then, he's only playing on the field half the game. So they're usually going to be receiving situations. Obviously, 7 catches for 91 is nice, but yeah, with T back as the number 3 in this passing offense that has been inconsistent already, I don't love it. Not fully trusting.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our week 3 preview, breaking down some rankings before we do starts and sits and our best bets. So let's start again at the top at the quarterback position. Before we do any questions that I have for you guys, I wanted to just run through our top 5 quarterbacks this week because I feel like it's definitely changed a lot since preseason. So, Matt, who do you have as your top 5 currently?
Top 5 in order. Number 1, Josh Allen. Following him is Lamar Jackson. Then I have Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and Patrick Mahomes did not crack my top 5.
No.
At 5.
All right. T-Gods, what about you?
Josh Allen, Lamar, then Mahomes at 3, Jalen at 4, Kyler at 5.
Welcome to the top 5, Kyler.
Bro, I mean, bro, the numbers
No.
are there.
I know. The rushing's crazy. He's running all over the field. So
Yeah, he's going
His
bonkers.
floor. I got Josh Allen at 1 as well, Lamar at 2. I got Hurts at 3, Kyler at 4, and I got Joe Burr at 5 this week. The Commanders are absolutely dog water. T is currently practicing, so this is Joe Burrow's I'm back game against the
I hope
Commanders
so.
Monday night.
I sure hope so as well.
Yeah, that's just me. I got Mahomes at 6, Stroud at 7, so obviously you're still starting them. Still obviously good options there, but
I hope T actually plays. I miss seeing him on the field.
yeah, I do too. But yeah, I think our top 5 is definitely different than our preseason top 5. Obviously, it changes with matchups and whatnot as well, but definitely just interesting to see there. Moving on to a question. T-Gods was spot on being lower on Anthony Richardson last week after Matt and I were blinded by week 1. How are we feeling about him this week against the Bears?
Last week was just weird for a lot of teams. I don't know.
Last week was so weird.
This season has just been weird.
Nothing makes sense. Nothing is making sense.
I don't know what is going on in the NFL in 2024, but I do not like it. But I have Anthony Richardson at 8. I mean, obviously there's games where he's going to have a week 1 performance where he had almost 30 fantasy points, and last week was one of his duds, which isn't out of the question, but I see him falling more in the middle of that pack, more so than his peak or his low. So I know the Bears have looked decent on defense, but it's only a matter of time before this offense gets going. I mean, Michael Pittman has not been a factor. Jonathan Taylor up until I think he got benched in the 4th quarter or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with that, but this offense has to figure it out. And I think going up against Caleb Williams, their offense will be on the field a ton.
Don't sleep on Bears D.
I'm not sleeping on Bears D.
He's all right. I think they're pretty good.
They are. But I just like the opportunities that Richardson is going to get with the Colts D going up against Caleb Williams, who hasn't thrown a touchdown yet. The offense hasn't looked great, no rhythm. So
Yeah.
I think Richardson is going to have a ton of opportunities this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit more skeptical now. I was kind of skeptical preseason. Week 1 obviously looked awesome, but definitely was a little bit fluky after looking back at 9 completions and 6 carries for somehow 30 fantasy points. I think we're probably closer to week 2 being more realistic, but I definitely still think the rushing upside is there. I kind of just want to see it more. I have him at QB 10 this week. I still think you're starting Anthony Richardson. I don't think you're panicking after one bad game, but definitely just a little bit more nervous there.
Yeah.
Just a wee bit. Moving on to Baker. He performed pretty well again last week and now gets the Broncos this week. Has he climbed towards your top 12 quarterback ranks?
I got him at 10.
I have him at 11.
And I might be disrespecting him having him at 10.
I got him at 11 as well.
Yeah. Just going up against Pat Surtain, that Broncos secondary is a little scary, but I'm not. It's kind of like the same thing with the Colts going up against Caleb Williams. There's going to be a ton of opportunities for Baker Mayfield, and that offense is looking good.
Great, dude. Baker looks elite.
He looks very good. I think he exposes the Broncos a little bit this week.
Me
they
too.
do have like the number 1 ranked against wide receivers or whatever, but I think PS2 might shut down Mike Evans a little bit, but I think that just leaves so much room open for Godwin. I'm not too scared of the rest of that secondary. I think it's mainly PS2 after Simmons left and everything like that. So last week against the Steelers, you knew they weren't going to be throwing the ball and airing it out. And week 1 against the Seahawks, Geno only threw the ball 25 times. They were able to run the ball a lot with Kenneth Walker. And as we've seen, the Bucs can't really run the ball. So I'm in on Baker this week too. I got him at 11. Definitely think he's a rock solid QB1 this week.
Yep.
Yeah, boy. Good for him.
Moving on to some running backs for tonight's game. Ramondre Stevenson has become a workhorse for the Patriots under new coach Gerard Mayo. How high do we have him against the Jets D, which has struggled more than we anticipated?
I got him at 11. I'm all the way in.
All the way in.
I'm all the way in.
14. T-Gods was a Ramondre hater.
I was. Hey.
Just FYI.
Listen, things change, all right?
They do. I have my 14. I think he's going to get his. He's looking more like the Ramondre that we saw in 2022 rather than last year where he was a little banged up, didn't get as many touches. But I love the way they're using him. I think he is due for a nice game tonight. Just hopefully not too nice.
Very nice. Super nice.
Going up against them. No, not
Yeah.
super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is rock solid. I got him at 14 as well, Matt. I definitely think he's pushing towards that low-end RB1 status that we kind of had been hoping for since that 2022 kind of breakout season. 25 carries in week 1, 21 carries in week 2. This team clearly just wants to play defense and run the ball. And when they're in games and keeping it competitive, they're able to do that. I think the Jets haven't shown anything that they're going to be blowing the doors off of Ramondre tonight. So, yeah, I'm in on Ramondre as well. Moving on to Kenneth Walker. It looks like he's unlikely to play again this week with that oblique. Is Charbonnet a must start if you own him?
I don't know if I call him a must start.
Yeah, depending on your options, but if you had to start him, I'd feel confident.
Yeah, I'd be fine, but
even week 1 where he only saw like 35% of the snaps with a healthy Kenneth Walker, he had 12 fantasy points, and obviously we saw what he could do last week without Ken. The rushing efficiency wasn't as good as you like to see, but again, still involved in the passing game. I believe he found the end zone. I could be wrong.
he did.
Yeah, he rushed one in last week.
So, I mean, can't take him away. So
yeah, I'm not going to say must start, but I do have him at 15. I'm definitely high on Charbonnet just for the volume in that offense, and this offense has looked pretty solid. Not perfect by any means. They're not putting up like 30 points a game or anything, but they're moving the ball down the field pretty consistently. He played 96% of the snaps. This man missed like 4 plays in the game, if that. No, like 2 plays in the game. So Sharp's going to be on the field the majority of the game against the Dolphins in a game that they probably should win as well. So, yeah.
Yep.
Gotta roll him out there if you have the opportunity, especially if you handcuffed Walker with him. Last running back question. With Pacheco going down for the Chiefs, are you plugging in Carson Steele or Pirine right away, or Kareem Hunt as well? Or are you just completely fading this backfield until we see more?
I'm staying as
Fade.
far away as I possibly can.
I want to see how it pans out. I think the highest running back I have ranked back there is P. Ryan. I have him at 29 and Carson Steele at 34. So not too far off of each other. Could be a toss up
Yeah,
of who's going to
Carson
get the
Steele
majority
looks
of the work.
awful.
He does.
Absolutely
he looked good
terrible.
in the preseason, but against the ones on an NFL defense, he has not looked the best.
Yeah, no.
That's why P. Ryan, just with the experience, the pass catching ability, if I were to roll one out there, I think it would have to be him. But like T God said, I'm staying as far away from this backfield as I can.
Yeah, especially against Atlanta, you don't want to. That's no thanks.
I got P Ryan 32, Steele 33. I'm definitely fading if possible. If I mean, I definitely have P Ryan ahead just because I could see him kind of fulfilling that like Jerick McKinnon role, where he's going to be the kind of that pass catcher, get 4 to 5 catches, and then maybe sneak a touchdown in near the goal line or whatever. But I think Steele's going to get the first crack at the carries. But either way, this team's going to want to throw the ball more than run the ball with the way the backfield is shaped out right now. So fade for now.
Yes, sir.
Keep him on your bench. Skylar Thompson taking center for the Dolphins this week with Tua now on IR. How much did this affect Tyreek Hill and Waddle in your ranks?
Yeah, I mean, I got Reek at 9. I don't know if that's disrespectful or not, but
I have him at 11.
And that's fair.
14.
That's fair. The only reason I have him so high is that, bro, he can catch like a little slant and just take it to the like
exactly.
You know how he is.
Yeah.
It definitely affects Waddle a lot more. I have him all the way down at 31.
Yeah, I got him at 29.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them have caught a touchdown pass from Skylar Thompson in their career. And I think he played like 3 games last year when Tua was banged up. And
I think he has 8 career games played or something like that.
It's not much.
Somewhere he's kind of like mixed in as like the backup starter or whatever.
Schultz said Reek is getting 6.1 points this week. Book it.
I mean, not all of his fantasy points when Tua was on the field last week, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a complete hater on Skylar Thompson. I think they kept him around for a reason. He actually didn't play a game last year at all. Now that I'm looking at it,
Really?
Yeah, he made no appearances, at least on Sleeper's game log. So
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Tua played every game last year, didn't he?
Yeah, Tua had that full. I think he led the league in
maybe I'm
yards.
thinking about the year before.
Yeah, 2022 he was mixed in with Teddy Bridgewater too. So like he really only had 1 or 2 games where he fully started, and both ended up being against the Jets defense when it was pretty freaking good. So we don't have too much of a sample size here, but they kept him around for a reason. They have him as the QB2. I think he's obviously not going to be able to push the ball downfield like Tua did. Not that Tua has like some cannon of an arm, but he's pretty accurate deep ball, obviously, if he's able to hit Tyreek and Jalen Waddle all the time. I think he's going to be a decent game manager, though. So I think Tyreek, Waddle, they're going to find creative ways to get them involved. They're still startable, but yeah, definitely lower expectations. We touched on Anthony Richardson earlier and his struggles, which have bled down to Michael Pittman. Are you still starting him with confidence this week? Where did you rank him? And is Alec Pierce now pushing startableness?
I have Pittman at 27. Not super confident at all.
Where do I have Pittman?
But I am starting him if I have him. You kind of have to.
Yeah, I got him at 26.
I am not starting Pittman. I am actually I have both JSN and George Pickens on the bench, and I am opting to start George Pickens over Michael Pittman this week.
I have them
pretty
ranked.
Confident in that.
All right.
26, 27, 28. Pittman, Pickens, JSN. So I think that's very fair. I think that's kind of the same area. And I definitely understand moving away from Pittman. Yeah, I think you're lowering expectations from if you got him as like a high wide receiver 2 to just like a mid flex, high flex. The target share still there. 8 targets, 7 targets, so 15 targets through 2 games isn't bad. Just Anthony Richardson not really being super consistent. I think it's going to be a little bit more up and down for Pittman this year than the Minshew force feeding from last season.
It's hard to get points when your quarterback's completing like 12 passes a game.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's still going to be involved. I think they're going to make an effort to maybe try to get him involved and get him involved near the red zone. But as it currently stands, definitely not fading him. Also, I think Alec Pierce is fully fluky. So,
Oh yeah.
I think he's a complete boomer bust flex play, and he's boomed twice. I don't think he's ever gonna push like full fantasy relevancy, but we'll see. Moving on to tight ends, Kyle Pitts, after scoring in week 1, played 22% less snaps at 74%. Had 4 targets. Now with 7 targets through 3 games, is he still a trustworthy tight end? Where did you rank him?
I got him at 10. I mean, so I still have him as a startable tight end, but I mean,
I think that says a lot more to how bad tight ends are this year. I
Yeah.
had an 8, but if tight ends were looking how they were last year, he wouldn't even be touching my top 10. But
Yeah.
even with the touchdown in week 1, he only had like 11 some
Yep.
points.
11.6.
So it's not like he's getting a crazy target share. He's
Nope.
like,
We should just ban him
Dolphins,
from
I
the
hate
show.
you.
Like
I
I'm
hate
so
you.
tired of talking about Pitts, man. I'm
It's
so
every year,
serious
every
though.
week.
Like
He's a problem. He's a virus, and people are still addicted to that virus. And he's just, I don't know. It's only 2 weeks. I don't want to fully write him off. I still think there's hope with Kirk at the helm and like
It's not
getting
just
him
2 weeks. It's been
involved. But I mean,
4
2 weeks
weeks.
this year. I mean, the past season's Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke. It's been pretty ugly at the quarterback position. We saw Drake London struggle a lot too. But yeah, I have him at 10 as well. I'm definitely fading if possible, but you're most likely not. You're gonna find another option unless you have like Hunter Henry or something. So yeah, I got him at 10.
Yep.
You're probably starting, but you're still a little nervous with Kyle Pitts. 7 targets through 2 games is not great.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the last one. Brock Bowers, as Schultz mentioned in the chat, he
Elite.
thinks he's tight end 1.
elite.
Continues to prove his relevance. Probably surpassed Kobe Myers at this point as the official number 2 option in Las Vegas. Has he pushed towards your top 3 tight ends this week with another
I was-
favorable matchup?
this close to putting him as my tight end 1. I
Put him
have
at 2.
only McBride over him, only because I like the Cardinals pass offense a little bit more than the Raiders. But when the Raiders are throwing the ball is going his way. He has 17 targets through 2 games. He is just a munch.
Yeah. No, I do have him at 1. There's no reason not to. There's no reason. Why the face though?
There's not.
There's
not.
17
I
targets,
genuinely-
bro. Come on.
It's gross. I got McBride at 1 too. I have Bowers at 2. So yeah, you're starting Bowers no matter what. He's elite. If you got him in your draft, you're feeling very confident. I'm thinking McBride has upside later down the road. I think he's going to have bigger games. Obviously, a little bit fluky touchdown this past week. I kind of want to see a big game from McBride sooner rather than later. And I think the Cardinals are going to have to throw a ton versus Detroit. So we'll see there. But either way, Bowers, definitely top 3. We all have him top 2. Must start tight end. Not what I expected, but love to see it. All right, let's do some starts and sits before we finish up with our best bets. T-God, start us off. Who is your start of the week?
My start of the week is Tony Pollard. He has 15 plus in both games. He's played over 60% of the snaps in both games. He is currently the RB12, so it's nothing crazy, but no running back has more touches than him. So I mean, that's what you want to see. And some people aren't starting him. Like I'm looking at ESPN ranks, they have him at 20, and I think he's being disrespected. I think the volume is there. If he gets a touchdown, that's just a little bonus. He should definitely be started in every league.
Yeah. I love me some Pollard this week. The volume's back, and I don't think it's the prettiest again, but the passing floor is definitely helping this year as well. So definitely love me some Pollard. Matt, start of the week.
Start of the week. Sorry, birds, but it is Derek Carr. QB2 through 2 weeks. I mean, this Saints offense looks unstoppable at this point. Nobody expected them to steamroll the Cowboys last week. Like I said earlier, 91 points through 2 weeks. Their offense is just a big play waiting to happen. Their offense looks good. Our defense looks horrible. I don't think that we're going to be able to cover shit downfield. We haven't been able to for the past few years. So I think Derek Carr is most likely going to have a field day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Lots of
Yeah.
dancing for Derek Carr.
Yeah, not enough of a pass rush to get to him either. So yeah,
Nope.
it is a
We're
good
scared of
start
blitz.
option for
They
Derek
play
Carr,
like
especially.
bitches.
Yep. All right, my start of the week, Zamir White. He regained the lead of the backfield in a game where the Raiders trailed a lot, which was impressive to me. Quietly has 6 targets through 2 games, which is more than I expected as well. Not really been much of a pass catcher. And if there's ever a week to start Zamir White, it is this week against the Panthers. The Raiders are favored by 5.5. Should be a pretty good game script for him, where he should be able to probably see anywhere from 15 to 18 carries, if not pushing 20, especially if they're up big, like we've seen the Panthers fold. I know Andy Dalton's in. I don't think it's going to change too much. I think they'll be better, more competent, but I still think the Raiders should win this one, and Zamir White should be a part of that.
Like it.
I'm down.
D-Gods, back to you for your sit of the week.
My sit is a quarterback that is being started in 47% of sleeper leagues. I don't know why. Brock Purdy. He's currently the QB 18. He has not looked
Told
good
you.
with a healthy offense, and now he's got a banged up offense. And I mean, I can't imagine him getting any better. There's no rushing upside. He hasn't looked great. It's just why are we starting Brock Purdy? I'd rather start
Sam Darnold.
I'd rather start Sam Darnold. I literally would. I'd rather start Sam
I
Darnold.
would.
100%.
I just think the after the Rams just got their backs blown out with 41 points, I'm like, Purdy might be worth rolling out one more time. But
But he might be without Kittle and Debo.
yeah, if Kittle's out too, that's rough. You know Debo's out already, which definitely hurts him, and McCaffrey.
I mean, and
Kittle-
Ayuk has not
Yeah.
looked good at all. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
who are we
true.
throwing to? Like, Juwan Jennings. What are we doing here?
Hey,
What are we doing?
I might be starting him this week. So
Pearsall out there ASAP.
yeah. No, I don't hate it. I definitely think you could definitely rationalize sitting Purdy. He has not been that great through 2 weeks. Maybe we're finally seeing Purdy exposed.
I hope so.
I hope so too, as a
I
Brett
hate
fan.
that guy.
All right, Matt, who's your sit of the week?
Sit of the week is going to be Jalen Waddle. Unfortunately, kind of touched on this earlier, but Skylar Thompson will be under center. Jalen Waddle is not Tyreek Hill. He doesn't have that type speed to just, like T-God said, take a slant 75 yards to the house. He is going to be relying on the target share and the volume. And through 2 weeks, even with Tua, he only has 9 targets. The volume hasn't been there. The target share hasn't been there. So I don't see any improvement on that with Skylar Thompson under center. So, I mean, I'd rather bench him instead of just praying for a 1 in a million good game from Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think if you have another option, sitting Waddle is not the worst.
Oh, we love dilemmas. Sorry.
No, we do. I'm excited to see what he has to say as well. Before we get to that, my sit of the week, Chiefs running backs, pretty self-explanatory. We obviously talked about them earlier, but I'm fading this backfield for sure. I just kind of want to see how the snaps shake out. There's no one I'm really fully confident in that's going to get more than like 8 points. So as the Chiefs lean into the passing game a bit more, get some screens, quick passes, get Worthy probably in for a couple carries as the running game suffers. So
You're answering his
fade.
question
All
as
Chiefs
we
running backs.
speak. So.
That's so funny that he asked that question. And I was just yapping. If we
I'm
had to pick-
literally okay. No,
we
go
did
ahead.
talk about it earlier. It was P Ryan. So yeah, depending if it's PPR, I would go P Ryan.
If it's anything, I'm taking Pirine. Dude, Carson Steele looks so bad. Come on.
I know, but I think he's gonna get the first crack at like getting 10 to 12 carries. But I just don't think it's gonna be pretty.
Yeah.
Non PPR.
Oh my god.
There's nobody else.
There might be
Bro, you
nobody
can't
else, dude.
scoop anyone.
Is Donta Foreman out there, dude? I'd start him for sure. Yeah. I mean, non PPR. I guess Steele is. That's a tough dilemma.
I think
dude.
I'm
That's a
still
ugly
going
dilemma.
Pirine.
Yeah, I guess just go Pirine. I think Pirine's gonna be. I think he's just the more sufficient back historically. I think Steele's gonna get a chance at some carries, but Pirine's gonna be involved as he continues to learn the offense. So
Like, he's for sure going to be involved. If Carson Steele doesn't look good through his first couple touches, I don't see them just rolling him out there and
yeah,
constantly giving him the ball.
another fumble as well. That dude's right in the doghouse.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Go P. Ryan. Don't love it, obviously, as it's my sit of the week, but go P. Ryan. All right, let's move on to the last segment. Best.
We got Najee over those. Sorry. Najee, yes, bro. Yes, Najee over.
Najee.
Yes, please,
Yes,
please.
I would agree. Start Najee. All right. We did introduce best bets last week. Not official gambling advice, but just our favorite picks for the week. Standings currently, I was the only one to get one right last week, so I am 1-0. Matt and T Gods are 0-1, and as a podcast, we are 1-2. Hoping to bounce back this week for week 3. I'll start us off again. I'm taking the Dolphins plus 4.5. Now, I would prefer to buy up to 5.5, which is where they were at. I think it was at minus 120 still if you buy up to 5.5, and I'll pay that and lay that just for that extra point. But I'm still taking the Dolphins at plus 4.5. I think Skylar Thompson's just going to manage the game. They still have Achane. They still have Tyreek. They still have Waddle. They're going to try to get them involved in creative ways, and I just don't think the Seahawks are that dominant where they should be favored by a team by 5 points. I don't think they beat the Broncos by 6 points, and they had to go to overtime to beat the Patriots, and those are two of the worst teams in the league. So still think the Dolphins are more competent than both of those teams. Give me the Dolphins at plus 4.5 all day. Book
All
it.
right.
Look at
You got
Juicy.
pick for week 3.
My pick would be the Chiefs money line at minus 180 versus Atlanta. I feel like the Chiefs money line is always. I feel you can never go
Minus
wrong. I mean,
300.
yeah. So getting them at minus 180 versus the Falcons, who barely beat us, and I think we could all agree the Chiefs are a much better team than the Eagles. They don't have Pacheco, but they do have Mahomes, and that's all you really need to win a game. So I'm taking the Chiefs at minus 180 all day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dropped to minus 172 now as well. So
Oh my god, it's getting juicier.
take all you can.
You know,
All right, Matt, back to you for the last pick of the week. What do we got?
I'm going to take the Packers plus 2.5 against the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, without Jordan Love last week, we all expected them to get trounced by the Colts. Came out with a win. Absolutely just ran the ball down their throats. I could see them doing that against the Titans, although there is a slight chance Jordan Love practiced 2 days in a row. There's a slight chance that he could play. So if he is active, I feel like plus 2.5 is free.
Yep.
The Titans are 0-2 currently, lost both games by at least a touchdown. So I think getting the field goal boosted with the Packers is a no-brainer in my mind.
Yeah, I like it. I like the Packers this week as well. So hopefully we can go 3-0 this week. A little parlay action, a
Last
little
week
bit
was
of
bad, man.
juice. Last week was tough. Didn't expect it to go down that way for sure. But we move on. New week, new picks, new locks. That is it. Don't see any other questions in the chat. So that's a wrap for the week 2 recap and week 3 preview. We'll be back next week with the same thing as always. So again, if you have any questions throughout this weekend, feel free to DM us. We'll definitely get back to you there. If you're here live with us on Twitch, throw us a follow if you haven't already. We also post all these episodes to YouTube, so make sure you subscribe over there. You can listen on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your audio podcast. Like, rate, review, and 5 stars there.
Oh, let's hear the trade. Let's hear the trade.
Gotta hear the trade.
I love hearing trades.
Throw the trade in as before we hop off here.
Swamp
I'm in.
Donkey.
2 questions coming in.
Here we go. Coming in hot.
Let's go. Roll them out.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
Dude, I had an absurd amount of money on the Colts money line last week.
Dude, I think it was felt like the lock of the century, and it was just the most square play of all time.
Yeah.
It was bait.
It was such bait. It should have been a 6.5 line or a 5.5 line if Malik Willis was really that bad. And the fact that it stayed at 3, opened at 3.5 and went down to 2.5, I should have known that it was going to be a trap.
It absolutely destroyed me.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Dude, it felt like
really bad.
It felt like free money, and it was not. I definitely hit that as well, and it was just not the move. Should have faded the public there. Too much on one team. You know, it's
Vegas is always right, man. Like,
I know.
You can't beat Mr. Vegas.
why do we try and fight him?
I don't
He's
know.
always right.
All right, Ty Chandler, Najee Harris in place of Waddle.
I want Waddle.
Which one? I think I'd still start Waddle over both of them.
Yeah.
If you're
Well,
still starting Chiefs running back, get Najee in there.
It is. They said non PPR though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. That's
I'm
tough.
still starting Waddle, I think. I still think, I don't know. Like,
Najee's due for a
definitely an
touchdown.
upgrade, but I still think Waddle's talent-wise, he's still going to be involved. It's not going to be as pretty, but like I said, I think the Dolphins are going to keep this game competitive. So
I think the best you're gonna get from Waddle is like 5 catches, 80 yards, maybe.
yeah,
I'm sticking up for Najee, man. I'm going Najee. He's due
If I
for a
had to pick out
tutty.
of those 3, I'd go Najee as well. Warren
been
hasn't
getting
looked
good
at
volume.
all so far, and
He has 37
Najee.
rushes in 2 games.
all right.
I'd
I'll let y'all take that one. We'll start Najee. We'll take Najee in that
I'm
spot.
taking Najee. Come on.
Right with the guys.
start Ramondre or Pollard.
Starting
Stevenson or
Ramondre.
Pollard. Yeah, I think it's Ramondre. I think all of us have him ranked that way as well. I think Pollard's probably closer to 20 in most of our ranks, maybe like 17, 18.
Oh my
But
God,
the
that
guys
dude
has
has Rashid
Ramondre at
Shaheed,
11.
too.
So,
I start Rashid Shaheed over Waddle this week.
yeah.
Dude, so would I. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, he's about to have 250 plus tutties.
Yep.
Against the Eagles. The Eagles' secondary is brutal. Question in the chat for the trade. He would trade away Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, and
God.
Aaron Jones for Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor, and Brian Thomas Jr. He already has Burrow and Purdy on the bench, so he's all right at quarterback. I would
Still
still
wouldn't do
say
that.
Absolutely
way.
not.
No. Brian
Absolutely
Thomas
not.
brings the value of that trade way down, and I like Brian Thomas, but
Yeah, I think at
He's
best
easily
Thomas
the
is a
worst.
flex.
yeah, he's easily the worst player in the trade.
I think Jamar is still going to be a top 5 wide receiver. I think better days are coming starting this week against the Commanders. I know Aaron Jones for Kyron and Jonathan Taylor seems like insane value, but you're also giving up Josh Allen, who I think still could be QB1 this year. So
No, I can't
Yeah.
do that.
starting running backs are Aaron Jones and P. Ryan.
Uh,
So I understand wanting to.
Okay,
flip that,
now it makes sense. Now it all makes
but
sense.
I feel like you could dummy
You're
that
giving up the rest
trade
of your
down.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you're
could
still
dummy
giving too
that
much.
trade down.
Maybe try to just get one of those running backs and like take out Josh Allen or
Take out Josh Allen and see if you could put
or
in
take
like
out
Joe
Jamar.
Burrow. Something.
Yeah, try to flip
Maybe
that
I
around a little
AJ
bit.
Yeah, but AJ's hurt.
He's already got AJ Diggs and JMO, but AJ is hurt, so you'd have to like. It seems like he should be back next week, but there's no guarantee of that with a hamstring. So
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson or Jared
Or Jared
Goff.
A-Rich SARS.
It's got to be Anthony Richardson, but Goff is due for a big game, dude.
he is, but I'm
Could
taking
come this
A-Rich.
week, But yeah, A-Rich is just
Safer floor. I think the upside's still there.
Yeah.
rushing up that
Decent matchup. Um,
that.
yeah, that trade's tough. I feel like you're just still giving up too much. I know you're desperate at running back at this point, but it still feels like too much to give up.
See if
Yeah,
in that
you're
spot,
giving up the number
personally.
1 quarterback and like a top
Top
we'll have to
five.
see the two
Yeah.
teams side by side to like try and calculate a trade that would work.
Yeah. If you did it, starting lineups: Burrow,
JT, I think you meant.
JT, Kyron, AJ Brown, Diggs, Goddard, JMO. It's still a pretty solid team. Don't get me wrong. Like I think, I just
His running backs do suck though.
Josh Allen is a lot over Burrow, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're
Way
completely
over.
different tiers. They're probably like 2
Even
tiers
after a
apart.
stinker last week, I mean, he's going to be that Bills' entire offense.
yeah, like I love Burrow, but in fantasy, especially if you're in a 4-point passing touchdown league, like Josh Allen clears Burrow by a lot. Like he could win you some weeks by himself, as
Mm.
well as Jamar. I still think is going to be top 5, dude.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think I don't hate it. Like JT and Kyron is a good package deal. They were both top 8 consensus running backs for the most part. So like, but Kyron's also in a really tough situation now. Like I think Kyron's still going to get the volume, but that O-line is not pretty. The Rams are not pretty.
I would just try and trade like J-Mo or something for like a 1v1 for like a
Yeah,
nice
maybe just-
RB2.
Yeah, try to upgrade
like
that.
a Pollard type.
I was just about to say, try and get like Pollard for JMO.
Yeah,
That would be ideal.
upgrade over Piron somehow in a trade, and then keep the rest of that. I think AJ and Jamar as your stack at wide receiver is disgusting.
Yeah.
If you're able to keep both of those,
Yeah.
like that's giving you a lot of weeks with Josh Allen as well. I would try to rock that and try to find
And I would
like
be happy.
32 is not the worst position to be mid at. To be honest, I'd rather have a more solid wide receiver core personally.
Yep.
All right, that's enough yapping. As I said, if you're live, follow us on Twitch. Definitely DM us any questions you have if you have any more. Also, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We have all the episodes there, and we're on all social medias: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Just search Super Fantasy Bros. You'll find us. We will see you guys next week. Peace.